Now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, and we're back today, this lovely Monday, to begin another week of movies that star WWE Hall of Famers. Today's selection is a documentary entitled The Price of Fame, about the career of 2010 WWE Hall of Famer, the Million Dollar Man, Ted DiBiase. Also interviewed in this special are Ted's son, Ted DiBiase Jr., and Brett DiBiase, as well as other WWE Hall of Famers, 2004 WWE Hall of Famer Harley Race, 2009 WWE Hall of Famer Terry Funk, 2007 WWE Hall of Famer Jim Ross, 2006 WWE Hall of Famer Mean Gene Okerlund, 2005 WWE Hall of Famer Rowdy Roddy Piper, and 2011 WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. As I said in the introduction, today we're going to take a look at a documentary, one of three that we're going to be taking a look at this month. We've already discussed Lipstick and Dynamite, which was the first movie we did about women's wrestling and specifically featuring the fabulous Moolah and Mae Young. If you missed that review, we'll link it up here. You can check that out. And then a little bit later in the month, we're going to be taking a look at the resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts. But for right now, our subject is the Million Dollar Man, Ted DiBiase, and the Price of Fame. And as I stated, our movie is a documentary about the life and the career of Ted DiBiase. Ted's son, Ted DiBiase Jr., narrates the majority of the film and tells us about how little time he had with his own father growing up because the Million Dollar Man was being shared with us, the fans. We hear from WWE Hall of Famers Harley Race, Terry Funk, and Jim Ross as they all talk about Iron Mike DiBiase, Ted's father. And then Ted recounts for us the story of how his father died of a heart attack in the middle of a wrestling match. We then add WWE Hall of Famers Mean Gene Okerlund, Rowdy Roddy Piper, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan to the mix as they begin to discuss Ted's beginnings of his wrestling journey, wrestling for the Funks, and Cowboy Bill Watts in the Mid-Atlantic territory. We then transition to the booming World Wrestling Federation as they are in the process of global domination. We learn that if Vince McMahon were to have a gimmick back in those early days, it would have been the Million Dollar Man character. We then take a trip to the Boardwalk Convention Center in Atlantic City, New Jersey, the site of Ted's first WrestleMania, WrestleMania 4. We then jump ahead to WrestleMania 8, when Ted's second and current wife, Melanie, discovered his infidelity. Ted Jr. confronts his dad for the very first time about the situation. He wants to know how someone could cheat on his mother, on their wife. And Ted admits to his son that he felt ashamed the first time that he saw her after she found out about his cheating. We then meet Pastor Hal Santos, who is the man who led Ted on his journey to find God and fix things with Melanie. Ted Jr. then goes to see Shawn Michaels, another WWE Hall of Famer who had a dark and troubled past, who credits the Million Dollar Man in helping to guide him once he got saved. We hear from George the Animal Steele, Lex Luger, and Sean Waltman about how Ted DiBiase helped to save them as well. As our movie begins to come to its conclusion, Ted goes out to the cemetery one more time in order to talk to his father, Mike DiBiase, much as he did during his younger years when he had first lost him, hoping that his father is proud of the man that he has become. I thought this was a well done documentary. I think Ted DiBiase Jr. did a great job structuring it, directing it, putting the story together. And it was good to go back and learn about the $1 Million Man because of all the characters from the 80s and even in the early to mid 90s. You figure Money Inc. was in the 1990s. Ted was the financial man for the NWO in the mid 90s. The $1 Million Man gimmick has had a long and storied career, but in the mix of everybody that was major in the 80s, he's not somebody that you often get this kind of deep dive into. They talk about your Hogans, your Pipers, your Warriors, your Savages, your Michaels, your Harts, but they don't really get the deep dive into Ted DiBiase. And that's a shame because the man did become WWF champion. His reign has been stricken from the books. It's not acknowledged by WWE. But even though he did not secure the pinfall to become champion, Andre the Giant did. Ted DiBiase purchased the belt from Andre, defended it for a couple of weeks on the house show circuit because there really wasn't Raw back then. So he defended it for a few weeks on the house show circuit, and then they decided to do the tournament, and they stripped him of the belt, and from that point on, it was removed from the record books. But he did defend the championship for a couple of occasions. So his reign needs to be acknowledged and recognized. But for whatever reason, WWE just wants to strike that from the books. Ted DiBiase was an amazing character, and to find out the fact that Vince McMahon would have done this gimmick if he had been more in front of the camera at that point, I can believe that 100%. Because you think about the Mr. McMahon gimmick, and then you think about Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and they're very much one of the same. The corporate, greedy, everybody has a price for the $1 Million Man. Everybody has a price for Vince McMahon. Crockett sold, Turner sold, Heyman sold, Gagne sold, Stu Hart sold. Everybody's got a price for Vince McMahon. So I totally can buy him as this gimmick, and it would have been funny to see Vince in this role. But Ted DiBiase, again, a great wrestler, a great character, somebody who gets often overlooked in the annuals of that time because he wasn't Hogan, Savage, Warrior, Piper, etc., etc., Andre, Brett, Shawn. And it's a shame. When it comes to my rating of this documentary, I'm going to give it 3.5 stars out of 5. My biggest issue with it was, and I knew it was going to come because I know Ted's a religious man. I have seen Ted speak at a church-ish service. EWF, the Empire Wrestling Federation, put on a show at a church out here many years ago, at least a decade ago. Jeff and I went and we met Ted. EWF put on a couple of matches. Ted DiBiase spoke. So I knew that the religion was going to come into this. I'm just not a super religious person. So for the overabundance of religion that was in this, especially once they got to the WrestleMania 8 and the infidelity, I wish that could have been toned down just a little bit for the more casual viewer. But again, I knew it was coming. I was prepared for it. That's why I'm not rating this like 2 stars. If I had been blindsided by it, I probably would have been turned off more by it, because then I would have felt like, man, this is just a Bible thumping movie. But it's not. Great depth and detail into the man, the myth, the legend, the character. 3.5 out of 5 stars for me when it comes to the price of fame. What do you guys think, those of you that have seen it? Let me know. If you're watching the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down here. Let's have that conversation, that discussion, that debate, that interaction that I'm always asking you guys for in the comments below. And make sure you guys tune in tomorrow, right here to the Casa D18 Studios channel, as we once again open the doors to Stat Boy's Sports Bar, featuring Dory Lou. The food is hot, the beer's ice cold, and the seats are warm, so pull up a bar stool and engage with your hosts, Stat Boy Mike and Dory Lou, as they discuss some professional sports. And then, later in the day, post NXT, right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, the Jeff Meacham Network, and across the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiversa Media, it'll be time for another installment of the flagship show, Talk Wrestling or Anything with Jeff Meacham. 7:05 Pacific, 10:05 Eastern, once again immediately following NXT. And then on Wednesday, right back here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, it'll be time for another edition of Renegades Reviews. And I apologize in advance, guys. We're going to be discussing Avengers of Justice, Farce Wars, starring Stephen Ramazzotti, Amy Smart, Shawn Michaels, Justin Castor, Rose Lane Sanfilippo, Simon Rex, Brent Terrell, Tim J. Smith, and Tony Cavallero. You're not going to want to miss out on any of that content right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, on the Jeff Meacham Network, across the Jeff Meacham Network, Multiversa Media, Stat Boy Sports Bar, Talk Wrestling or Anything with Jeff Meacham, and Avengers of Justice, Farce Wars. Plus so much more in store on this channel across the Multiversa Media. You don't want to miss out on any of it. So make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure that notification bell is turned on so you don't miss out anytime a video drops right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, or anytime we go live, as is the case with Stat Boy Sports Bar, Open Mic Night, pay-per-view PLE coverage, etc. Share these videos with your family, friends, loved ones, coworkers, movie fanatics, cinephiles in your life, fans of Ted DiBiase, fans of documentaries, fans of professional wrestling. Damn it! But I digress. Anyone you can think of that would enjoy this content, this video, share it with them. It's the only way we're going to boost up my visibility in YouTube's algorithms so I can eventually get monetized and begin to make some money on the hard work I've been putting into this channel for the last 2+ years. Thank you once again to everyone who joined me and tuned in today. It means so much more to me than you'll ever know. And I will see you guys next time.